On December 14, 1998, a thick fog blanketed Badagry's coastline. The sea was quiet, its waves whispering secrets as fishermen noticed a lone figure vanishing into the mist. When the fog lifted, only a folded note remained by the water, pinned by a smooth stone. The message was heartbreakingly brief. "Forgive me, I had to go." Obiora Eze, a teacher, father, and husband, had vanished without explanation. The village mourned, rumors swirling. Some blamed the sea. Others whispered of sorrow too heavy to bear. His wife, Adana, searched the shore for months, while his sons learned to speak of their father in the past tense. The note became a relic, its meaning locked away as the family struggled with a wound that would not heal. The sea kept its secrets, leaving only the ghost of a goodbye. Obiora's absence became a legend, a silence louder than any storm. Before the mystery, Obiora Eze was a gentle teacher, beloved by students and respected by peers. His classroom was a haven, where he taught not just literature, but empathy and self-discovery. At home, he was a devoted husband and father, sharing stories and quiet wisdom. His kindness was boundless, helping neighbors, buying books for students, always giving more than he had. Yet he carried silent burdens, the pressure to provide, the weight of others' pain, and a growing sense of isolation. He rarely spoke of his own struggles, believing he must always be strong. The more he gave, the more invisible he felt, his sadness growing in the shadows. He walked the beach at dusk, searching for peace in the vastness of the ocean. To the world he was a pillar. Inside he felt profoundly alone. This was Obiora's paradox, surrounded by love, yet lost in solitude. The seeds of his disappearance were sown in these quiet, unseen struggles. The breaking point came quietly, in the form of a letter from Ikenna, a former student. Ikenna's words were filled with despair and a decision to end his life, shattering Obiora's spirit. Obiora saw his own failures reflected in the letter, feeling responsible for Ikenna's fate. He moved through his home like a ghost, unable to share his pain with Adana. The guilt consumed him, convincing him that his presence only brought harm. That night he decided to leave, not in anger, but in silent desperation. He wrote a 5-word note, packed nothing, and walked toward the sea. He believed disappearing was his final act of protection for those he loved. The decision was not sudden, but the culmination of years of silent suffering. Obiora became a ghost, leaving behind only questions and grief. The letter was both a mirror and a catalyst, pushing him beyond the edge. His absence was his last desperate attempt to stop the pain. Obiora did not walk into the sea to die, but to begin anew. He followed the coast to a port, boarded a boat to Ghana, and became Kofi Mensa. In Anloga, he lived quietly, mending nets and teaching children under a mango tree. He never spoke of his past, earning trust through kindness and hard work. The teacher in him resurfaced, bringing education to children who had none. He found purpose in their learning, but never called himself a teacher. For 25 years, he lived simply, never remarrying or speaking of Nigeria. The memory of his family was a locked room in his heart. He built a fragile peace, but every night, the ghost of Obiora Eze returned. His new life was shaped by loss and denial, haunted by the family he left behind. The villagers knew only Kofi, but he remained a man divided. His exile was both a refuge and a prison. The past lingered, waiting for its reckoning. Time moved on in Ghana, but illness began to erode Kofi's strength. As his body weakened, memories of his family flooded back, and guilt overwhelmed him. He realized his disappearance had not protected his loved ones, but wounded them deeply. With help from a former student, Yaw, he dictated a message to be sent to Badagry. He asked only to see his family one last time, using his real name for the first time in decades. The message was a fragile hope, cast into the unknown. Obiora did not seek forgiveness, only a final reunion. He waited, uncertain if his family would respond or if he deserved their presence. The act of reaching out rekindled a spark of hope in his soul. After years of running, he longed to reclaim his identity, if only for a moment. The past, once locked away, now called him home. News of Obiora's survival stunned his family in Badagry. Adana, older and weathered, decided they must go to him despite the pain. Chinedu was angry, remembering years of struggle and shame. Emeka was curious, longing for answers. The journey to Ghana was tense and silent, emotions swirling beneath the surface. In Anloga, they found Obiora frail and remorseful, his eyes filled with tears. The reunion was quiet. No grand speeches, just tears and long silences. Obiora explained his darkness, his guilt, and his misguided belief that leaving was an act of love. He asked only for forgiveness. Adana's touch was a gesture of grace, and his sons saw their father's brokenness for the first time. Anger melted into sorrow, and understanding began to grow. In that humble hut, a bridge of forgiveness slowly formed. The pain of the past was not erased, but it was finally shared. Healing began, one quiet moment at a time. Obiora's final days were spent with both his family and the Anloga community. The villagers who knew him as Kofi learned his true story and honored his journey. His family brought him home to Nigeria, where he died peacefully, surrounded by love. His funeral united people from Badagry and Anloga, a poignant merging of two lives. Obiora's story became one of forgiveness, not disappearance. In Badagry, his family found closure and understanding. In Anloga, the mango tree became the Kofi Mensa learning tree, his legacy living on. His life proved that brokenness can still yield good, and mistakes need not be the final word. Obiora's journey is a quiet reminder. It is never too late to seek forgiveness. Even after years of silence, the human heart can build a bridge across any distance.